It's easy to die. It's very hard to live. So
If you're hearing this voice or seeing this face, you are definitely in the right space. You are here for another episode of The Dojo with your host, Sensei Marv. This week, I am honored to bring you a special guest, somebody who is actually not in the martial arts field, but I feel has a compelling story that will impact everybody and will provide a lot of awareness. So
Today's video is being brought to you by the Oak City Open Karate Tournament, taking place Saturday, March 15th, 2025 at the Carolina Pines Community Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. Oak City Open is a premier martial arts competition that brings together karate practitioners of all ages and skill levels. This annual event features categories in kata forms, kobudo weapons, and jisin kumite, full contact sparring. Divisions are organized by age, experience, and rank, ensuring fairness and a competitive spirit for all. For more information, contact Sensei Marvin at saint.seerdojo@gmail.com.
at this point in time, I want you to give it up for the AVM superhero, Greg Graham. Hey, Greg, what's going on, brother? Oh, so how are you? How you doing, brother?
I am well, brother. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show. So you, sir, are a first time that I'm having a non-martial arts person on the show. So I got to give you your props because you are the first person. You are the person that if I had to interview a non-martial arts person, you would be the first person that I would want to do it. So
I am honored. I am honored. Thank you, sir.
So Greg, man, how are you today, man?
I am well. I'm enjoying the weather in Jamaica, West Indies, and it's beautiful out here. I'm doing Christmas in my shorts.
You're making me jealous right now because it was 32 degrees this morning. I had to go take my dog out, and she didn't even want to walk this morning. She walked, did her business, and was like, "Yeah, no, we're not walking any further." So good.
See, I'm in short sleeve shirt and I'm sweating, sir. I'm sweating. I am sweating in short sleeve shirts.
Oh, don't rub it in. Don't rub it in. What's the weather like right now?
80 degrees with a little tint of a breeze. The locals think it's cold out here. I think it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Oh, some people get all the luck. They have all the luck. So. But listen. So, I wanted to bring you on the show specifically because I feel like you have a compelling story. I have always been a big fan of yours, from high school days and even beyond. But I feel like
Mhm.
certain things that have happened in your life have really sparked motivation, have really been eye awakening, and sort of a rebirth for you, right? So I wanted to just kind of speak about that and speak about some of the things that you're working on, some of your advocacy and awareness and things that you're working on. So first thing, I always like to do an origin story. I always like to talk about people's beginnings, right? And normally that's a beginning within karate, but you were an athlete. You were a stellar athlete. You weren't an
Mhm.
average athlete. You were a stellar athlete. so
You
so
give me too
talk to
many
me.
props, but okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
talk talk to me about your athletic successes back in the day, or talk to my
Um,
viewers
so
so they know.
So I, in high school, I was the captain of the football team, all county, all district. Went to the University of New Haven. That didn't really work out for me when I went to college, but I was a star high school football player. Um, and I didn't feel like anything was wrong with me. So I used to even play basketball up to my 40s. I would go to work each and every week and get on the weekends because I used to travel back and forth all over the United States. And I would come back and play basketball. And I was considered to be a decent basketball player, be able to play with 20-year-old people when I was in my 40s. So I felt like I was a good enough athlete. I don't know if I was stellar, but I was good enough.
So talk to me about life after athletics, right? Because for the formative years of our lives, right? Like so every 10 years, I feel like we go through a change, right? You go 0 to 10, you're a kid, 10 to 20, you're kind of figuring out yourself. You're at your almost at your peak physically, athletically, right? 20 to 30, you're
Right.
kind of figuring out life. 30 to 40, you're establishing yourself in a career, things of that nature. What was life like for you after college, after athletics? Like what was was it just kind of a normal life? How was things for you?
Um, I don't know, because Sensei Marv, because if people see us in real life, we're both over 6 foot. We're pretty decent size. We're big people.
Right.
So automatically, people automatically assumes that we've always been athletic. I was able to bench press 315 pounds only in my 40s. I was able to do that stuff. So
Right.
when you talking about those different declines, I didn't necessarily have those declines, or I didn't think I did. Most of
Right.
us big guys don't think that we do have those declines, but I was still active. My life was normal. I had two daughters, or I still have two daughters. I was married. I had a successful business. I was into computer technology and also instructional design. So I would go to Fortune 500 companies like Coca Cola and actually build up content for them whenever they do new implementations inside of Coca Cola world. So I used to travel all over the world to do things.
Right.
My athletic size, like I said, I was constantly being an athletic person. My family, my brother played in the NFL. Myself, my sister was in Desert Storm, so we was always physically fit. I used to ride my bikes about 4 or 5 miles per week, play basketball, run. I was always active.
Right.
Then whatever happened to me changed my life.
Right, 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 right. And so in your mind, you kind of feel like you don't and I guess for me, it's just like I think about where we are in those phases of life, right? And you don't ever think anything bad can happen, right? You hear about something
Right,
happening to somebody else and you're like, "Oh, that's an unfortunate situation." But in your mind, that can never happen to you. At
right,
least that's
right.
the way I process it, right? So talk to me a little bit about the incident or the day of the incident. What's going on? Like, set it up for me, and just kind of let me know. Like,
Okay, that's not a problem. So it was the weirdest thing because I transitioned from being an instructional designer, and I was just tired, burnt out from the corporate world, and I decided to get a Dodge Ram 2500 and transport RVs from the manufacturer that's in Indiana. I think it's Elkhart, Indiana, and travel all over the country to actually deliver them. I found that fun because it
mm,
was peaceful and was
right.
refreshing for me. But it was one
So you were
night
doing so
that
you
I
were
went
doing
to go
long
get it.
hauls. So you were doing long
Yes, I
hauls.
was doing long
Okay.
haul from Elkhart, Indiana to California, anywhere to the East Coast, anywhere in the United States. I was going everywhere. And I loved it because I was able to be anywhere in the United States and be completely alone. It was
Mm,
really refreshing for me. And it's also being able to provide for my family because I was the breadwinner. My then wife didn't work. Um, but there was one night that my trailer was not there. So I had to sleep in the cold in my truck in Indiana on the weekend of Thanksgiving. And then when I was driving back to Atlanta, my home, I usually talk to people on the phone because it's a long trip. And I'm talking to my mother on the phone. And all of a sudden, she's telling me about this girl that we went to high school with that goes to her church that had a stroke at a very young age. She had two strokes. I'm like,
mm,
man, well, she's very young to have a stroke.
right.
Then all of a sudden, I had this massive headache. I had
Mm.
this excruciating headache. And my mom's talking to me on the phone, and I'm
In the
trying to
midst
drink
of this
some water,
conversation.
and it wouldn't alleviate the problem. I said, Mom, in the midst of this conversation, it's the weirdest thing. And my mom was like, what's going on? I said, Mom, I got this bad headache, and I'm making these sounds that she'd never heard before. It's like agony. I was making these sounds. And I'm driving on the highway now from in the middle of Kentucky, just driving.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, she told me to pull over, and she started praying for me very loud. I'm like, Mom, this is too loud. I understand you're praying for me, but it's hurting my head. And when I pulled over, she told me, "It's the baby. You need to hang up and call 911." So I hung up and I called 911. And I'm talking to the operator. And I'm asking the operator, "Am I going to die?" And the
Wow.
operator said, I don't know, hopefully you're not, we're going to keep you here, but I'm going to go talk to anybody that you want me to talk to. Is anybody you want me to talk to? I said, yes, call my wife. And she called my wife and she put me on hold and it just hung up. And during that time, my life flashed by my eyes. Like
Wow.
everything that I saw in my life happen. Like I thought about my mother. I'm like, okay, she's gonna be fine. I thought about my dad. I said, okay, he's gonna be fine. I thought about my then wife. I said, she's gonna be fine. Then I thought about my two daughters. I was like, oh crap, there's a lot I need to teach them. They was 11 and 10 years old. I said, I
Right.
can't die yet. And as I'm talking to you right now, Sensei Mar, I asked God. I said, God, give me another chance because I got things to teach them. And
Mm.
I know I'm married right now, but I've never been in love. Or am I going to die without truly being in love? Because me and my wife was going through a very hard relationship. And
Right.
as me and you are talking right now, I heard, okay, you
Right.
got more chance to live.
Right.
And then everything started changing for me. I got airlifted to the hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. I was about an hour away. I got airlifted there, and they told me I had what's called an AVM. AVM stands for Arteriovenous Malformation. Only 1% of the world's population has it, so you're conceived with it. So I had this thing inside of my head. Like we was talking about before. I was a star football player. Anytime I'm on the football field, I could have got hit and died
Right.
instantly.
Right. Right. So let me pause right there.
Go
So
ahead.
AVM stands for what? What did you say now? Say it again for me.
Arteriovenous, arteriovenous malformation.
Arteriovenous malformation. And you said this is something that you were born with, right?
Conceived with.
Inside of your head, conceived with. Okay. And so
Correct.
how and just because I'm a layman with all of this, right? The
Mhm.
symptoms are similar to a stroke. Is that not correct? Or is it considered a
It is a
stroke?
stroke.
It is a stroke.
It is. It's easy to die. It's very
Mm,
hard to live. So my whole thought process is: Am I going to die? And am I a stroke?
okay, because that was going to be
But
how is this different from a regular stroke?
But well, we're going into the weeds now because arteriovenous malformation can happen anywhere in your body.
Anywhere
Arteriovenous
in your
malformation
body.
is where your capillaries that connect your veins and your arteries, they're all knotted up
Okay.
instead of straight lines. So
Mm,
this can happen in your leg, it can happen in your arm. Mine happened to happen in my brain,
right.
in my
Right.
cerebellum. So when you ask a question about the stroke, there's basically two types of stroke. There's one called a ischemic stroke. That's when you have um, clogged arteries and there's not enough fluids or blood going into your brain and gets clogged off. And that's one type of stroke. Then it's
Right.
called a hemorrhagic stroke. That's when you have a brain
Brain
bleed,
bleed. Right.
like an aneurysm. It's
Right.
similar to what Jamie Foxx just had, just
Jamie
talked
Foxx.
about.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's the same thing as that. So there's two different types of strokes that you can have. I had the brain bleed one.
Right. Okay. 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 So now you've got this AVM, right?
Mhm,
You've been airlifted to,
mhm.
you said, to where were you airlifted to?
To Louisville, Kentucky. I was about an hour away
Louisville.
from there.
So you're
Mhm.
airlifted to Louisville, Kentucky. At this point, are you conscious?
Yes, I never passed out. Even during the surgery, I never passed out.
Okay. Okay. So you're aware of all of this stuff that's going on in the
Hmm.
midst of being in it. And so
Hmm.
and again, you might not be able to speak to, and I don't know. I know you've interviewed a lot of times, but maybe I'm just asking a lot of basic questions because I just don't know. But
Okay.
what were your thoughts as you're going through this process?
Um, it's weird because uh, it's easy to die. It's very
Mm,
hard to live. So my whole thought process is, am I going to die and am I going to die without giving my daughters the proper tools to survive in this world?
right,
That was the only thing that I was really concerned about. That
right,
you know, it was very weird, Sensei Mark, because I want to get back to that a little bit later about how martial arts and how y'all thinking helped me with this. But I was thinking to myself, because before I had this happen to me, me and my ex-wife was arguing about some really bad stuff. It was really bad. But during this time of thinking that I was gonna die, there was no jealousy, no animosity,
Right.
no negative thoughts in my mind whatsoever. It was very peaceful.
Mm.
So then I'm thinking to myself, since death is very peaceful, why do I live life in this negative mindset? So
Wow.
I don't want to
Yeah.
argue with people no more. I don't
Right.
want to be jealous
Right.
anymore.
Right.
I'm not having that issues anymore because death doesn't have that. So why do I live that way? So that was what my mindset was going through. It's like if I survive this, we're not doing what we used to do anymore, Greg. People that's gonna
Right.
make you feel this way, they're coming out of your life. Period.
You need to
No
remove them.
excuses.
Right. 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 Right.
Facts.
Right. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, that's profound. Look. I think you said death taught you how to live. Right. Is that one of the things you said?
Yeah, that's the name of my show that I have.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
show that
Death.
I have. I have people on my show called Death Taught Us How to Live, and we have a
Yeah.
different life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you probably could attest to this too. But once you go through that,
Right.
all the minor things in your life, all those minor issues that you have, they're obsolete. You don't care about them no more. You're like,
Right.
why am I wasting my time on that?
Right. Yeah. 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 So now you're here. You're in the hospital.
Yes.
Talk to me about what physically you've gone through. So now you've had the brain bleed. You're still aware. You've got everything
Mhm.
going on, but I can only imagine this big, strong, super guy that was lift bench pressing 350 is now experiencing some spirit experiencing a physical crisis. You know what was going on with your body at
Right.
this
And that's amazing thing. That's the part that plays your mind and your body plays tricks on you at this particular point. Because at this particular time, I my body forgot how to walk.
point? Right.
So I couldn't walk for 6 weeks. My body forgot how to swallow. So a glass of water could have killed me. I would have aspirated on that.
Oh my God.
I have a shunt inside of my head right now because I had hypocephalus. That means you have water on your brain.
Mm,
So I have a tube in my head that drains into my stomach because I can't change brain fluid into spinal fluid.
right. Right.
Um, so those are the things that was going on with me. Uh, it was a humbling experience because I would have to have people dress me, bathe me, wipe my butt,
Right.
and there's nothing I could do about it.
Right. Right.
So, because just like how you were explaining, you're a big person, you're a macho man. We have our egos. We say we could do this, we could do that, and then all of a sudden you can't do any of that.
Right.
That
Right.
changes your life completely. Now you're looking at your spouse. I'm like, well, she still loves me the same.
Mm,
Will she still
mm,
find me attractive? And she has to. She used to. I used to be able. I'm not trying to be funny here, but she was
right.
5'3". I'm 6'3". I could pick her up and put her on my shoulder,
Right.
literally.
Right.
Now she has to pick me up and wipe my butt.
Right. 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 And as a man,
No, that
you know
as a
that
man, how do you go
impacts
through
you,
that?
right? Right? Because we don't ever talk about things. We don't ever ask for help. We're a Caribbean man on top of that. So you know what I'm saying? Like
Facts.
you have all of this pride, right? Not saying that it's different
Right.
from being a Caribbean man versus not, but we do have this sense of machismo. We do have this sense of, we got to do this. We got to do everything, and to have to rely on somebody
Right.
is very vulnerable. It's very vulnerable.
Right. And like I was telling you earlier, I was a breadwinner. I used to make six figures before people was really making six figures.
Right.
And my
Right.
ex-wife didn't work for 10 years. And
Right.
then in one day, she has to be the breadwinner.
Right. Right.
How do you
Right.
adjust?
That's that. Yeah. 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 So mentally, what does that do to you? What does that do to a person?
Oh, it destroyed me. I don't know what other people went through, but it destroyed me. Because now I'm looking at my daughters. I have plans for my daughter. Yeah, I'm saving this amount of money for you to go to college. Can't do that anymore. I'm saving this amount of money for us to have this house. I can't do that anymore. My car got repossessed and all that stuff. I had over $500,000 worth of medical bills. I couldn't afford that. All these things are going through my mind. Like, who's going to take care of these things? And on
Right.
top of that,
Right.
me and my ex-wife was going through hell before
Yeah.
that. So now I'm trying to recover as a stroke survivor and also try to salvage a marriage and be a father at the same time.
Right. 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 And then you have to deal with like, wherever you were before then, right? Like she's gonna have to deal with this guilt of, do I leave now, while things are bad, even though if I would have left while things were good, it would have been looked at differently versus if I leave now, he's in this helpless position, and I'm sure you're also having, thoughts of like, okay, who am I as a partner? You was already saying you were not happy in that situation. So I can imagine that's kind of rough and it's a lot to deal with while you're still trying to deal with recovery.
Yeah, but it wasn't that part wasn't really that bad because I took it away from her and I was
Right.
like, you know what? I know I'm not your true life partner. I know it.
Gotcha.
I know you're not truly in love with me. I know I'm not truly in love with you. I'm gonna let you go and be what you want to be. I'm gonna leave you the house. I'm gonna leave you all this stuff so you could be happy. I don't want you to be wild here looking at me and
Right.
regretting
And
that
have
you're taking care
resentment.
of me.
Yeah. Right.
And I left. I left.
Right.
I was homeless for a while. I used to stay on people's couches and things like that.
Right.
But it was best for her and my kids. So that's what I did.
Right. So now we're in the
Mhm.
recovery phase, right?
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
is that? What does that look like for you? How is that process? Are you doing rehab every day, or what's going on? Because you had the initial 6 weeks where you weren't able to. You said for 6 weeks you couldn't walk or you
Right.
couldn't do anything. So, but this is also a
Couldn't
journey
eat.
that's beyond. Yeah, this is beyond 6 weeks, right? Like, I mean, this is stuff that you're still dealing with to this day. Like you're still
So
manage.
so people have to realize that, and I don't know any other condition is this way, but once you have a stroke, the effects is for life. Like
Right.
you see people coming back, like you might have saw the Jamie Foxx special and so, hey, he's looking great. I can see the deficits that he has that he's trying to
Right.
hide. I see
Right.
them automatically. So
Right.
it's for life. So mine happened 7 years ago, and I still have deficits on the left side of my body. But to
Right.
answer your question, my rehab is slightly different, and that's why I was trying to tie in what you do, Sensei Marv, is martial arts. I know a couple of people that are senseis in Aikido, and
Mhm.
the way they process things is like the same way that I process things now. I don't
Right.
look at my physical body as my strength. I'm looking at how I can move things against what you're trying to do to me,
Right. Right.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm more mental now than worried about what my physical body performs. And once I have done that, made that transition, it took me a while to do that. But once I made that transition, my life became more successful. I found someone that I love.
Mhm.
My children look at me differently now. They understand that I am dad, not some person that's helpless. You know,
Right.
I find purpose in my life. I give back to people that other stroke survivors, TBI survivors, each and every month. I donate a caregiver basket to them each and every month just to show that we appreciate you, that we love you, thank you that you're doing this. So this is what I do without really worrying about what my body's doing. It hurts me. I'm sad about it, but I'm more into my mental and spiritual rehab more than anything
Right.
else. And I do meditation and grounding in that type of situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So you know, thinking about your title, right? Death taught you how to live. So I know
Hmm.
one of the most recent things I saw you post was this was an anniversary of your rebirth. Did you say it was a rebirth day? I can't remember how you
Yes,
phrased
sir.
it. So
Rebirthday.
talk to me. Okay, so talk to me about your newfound life, your newfound purpose after the
It's
event.
it's interesting because I went through a lot of stuff, and I have met a lot of people that I didn't expect to meet in my life.
Mhm.
I found out who my real friends were because it's amazing. Like when you have everything, you
Oh,
could
yeah.
basically say anything, and people will agree with you. But once everything is gone, you will see
Mm,
how they really feel about you. So
right,
I found that out. I
right.
found that out. But I met this one lady. She's from our hometown of Spring Valley, New York, but I didn't know her.
Okay,
She's younger than us. And I put a post out because my stroke happened in 2017, right before the pandemic and
okay,
all that. And I put a post out there and say I lost everything. And I put a picture of my car being repossessed. I don't
right,
have anything. My wife left. Everything is gone. My children don't want to hang out with me. I was like, this is my life now. And she DM'd me, beautiful woman too. I'm like, wow, this is a nice looking woman. She DM'd me. I'm a stroke, so I could barely walk. But she DM'd me, and it was such a profound thing that happened in my life. She DM'd me and she told me, congratulations. You get a
mm,
chance to start over and make everything the way you want it to be.
wow, wow,
So I started talking with her, and this is the first time in my life. I don't know how, and I'm not. Yeah, I know you're a very successful, happily married man. I'm talking about as a Caribbean man, we love women, and I'm
right,
looking at her. I'm not trying to look at her as a woman that I want to be intimate with. I'm looking
right,
at her as a human being now because my mind is completely shifted from those thought process that I had before.
right,
So, I just deal with people now. It's like people, when I thought I was going to die, I say, I'm going to die without truly being in love. I found out what love is really about now.
right, right,
And all these people are coming into me. So to answer your question, my how this process looks to me, it's more about me being patient. It's more me about not having these stories of negativity.
right,
It's all about being in the moment, being present. Just like how you guys would do in martial arts, you let things go and be in the present, breathe. So that's what I'm in right now. I'm breathing.
right.
I wasn't breathing before. I'm
Mm,
breathing now.
mm. Yeah, yeah. It's incredible how certain circumstances can really help you reprioritize what's important in life, right?
Absolutely.
You were focused on the money. You were focused on the accolades, everything else. Now you're focused on living and breathing
All
and
right.
in the moment and the peace and the tranquility. And
Yeah.
that is profound, man. I mean, I struggle with trying to find that balance. So, I hate that you had to go through this to find it. But, much like when I suffered my heart attack, which I think we spoke about, and I've never spoken
Hmm.
on my show about it, but that led to the finding of the artery that I had, that was not right, that a genetic defect that I was born with that could have, much like yourself, killed me at any point in time, right?
Right.
Been
Right.
down at the park playing basketball and then fell out and had a massive widowmaker heart attack. I could have
Right.
been doing karate and fighting in tournaments and, you know, but obviously that was not the plan. Um, but sometimes just having to go through these things can really put in
Yeah.
perspective what truly is important, right? Because we sweat a lot of different things. I want the house, I want the cars, I want this, that. None of that stuff is important. If you're not here to do what you got to do, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Are
The
you
car
happy?
that you right, the car that you coveted 20 years ago is broken down on the side of the road and nobody's even thinking twice about it, you
Nope.
know? So but you're here and you're able to tell that story and that's important. So,
But Sensei Marv, before you go any
yep,
further,
yep.
I don't want you to feel sorry for me. This is
No,
the
no, I would never
best thing
feel
that
sorry
happened to
for
me in my
you.
life.
You are
No, but that's what you
1%
said. You
so.
said I'm sorry that. Hold on. I just want
Well, oh, okay,
not
okay.
necessarily that you're feeling sorry for me, but it's something that you said. I want people to understand that because a lot of people will look at me like, "Oh, this happened to you. I'm sorry this happened to you." I'm like, this is
Right,
the
right.
best thing that ever happened to me. The best,
Mm,
the best. I understand my body's not working the best way it can, but I know that I could be happy with a quarter of what I used to make each and every day.
right.
And I'm happy. I am
Profound.
happy. I'm fulfilled.
Yes.
This is
Thank you.
this is
Thank you for putting
beautiful.
that in
I'm in
perspective. Yes.
pain.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
this is
but
beautiful,
we all
bro.
go through pain. But we all go through pain, right? And it's different types of pain.
Yeah,
But like you said,
right.
being reborn, you were able to have a second chance at happiness. You're able to alleviate a lot of stresses in your life. So yes,
Yeah,
it is a mind
yeah,
shift, and I have to remember to put myself in that shifting of seeing things, right? Because what one person sees as a as troubling is a triumph for somebody. So
right.
this was God, part of God's plan. You know,
Absolutely,
it was part of God's
absolutely,
plan. So
absolutely, brother.
so talk to me now about what it is you have a, I guess I'm trying to figure out how to frame it. You have a,
Okay,
I guess, a newfound journey or a newfound purpose is what I kind of see. I see you doing a lot
okay.
of advocacy, education, information. You're on the front lines for AVM. And so, speak to us, speak to my listeners about what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're looking to do, and where you want to go with
I need to correct you again. It's not a newfound
it.
thing. No, it's serious about that, and I'm not
Right.
trying to be disrespectful to
No, no,
what you're
no.
trying to say. But I used to, I don't know if you ever seen it before, but I used to think about in the past, like, hey, before I leave this earth, I want my name to be on this on a highway. Like I see certain names of
Right,
generals or sergeants
right,
names on the highway.
right.
Like I want to give back in that type of capacity.
Mm,
And I was lazy. I was lazy until this happened to me. Until everything was taken away from me. I'm like, okay. God was like, okay, now what are you gonna do now? I gave you the most rarest condition that you didn't think you had. Now, are you gonna do some advocacy? Are you gonna get your name on the bridge? I'm like, okay, say less. So um, what I'm doing now is a lot of things that I'm doing now. At first, during the pandemic, I realized there was a lot of people that didn't have anything. You know, I heard horror stories of people had strokes and no family member there for them.
right,
So
right,
they would just have to be discarded from the hospital and nobody knows what's going on. Because as you know, when you had the almost widowmaker, once you leave the hospital don't really care about what's going on with you. You have to figure that out on your own. So
right,
just imagine if you had a stroke or something's going on with your brain and you can't think properly. That's the same process that's happening with us too. So during that time, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna make up a show that's gonna help people get out their stories, get that community to be larger so people could communicate with each other. So I made up the show called
right.
Death Taught Us How to Live. And I interviewed people that had brain injuries all across the world.
Okay.
That caught the attention of, have you ever seen the Game of Thrones?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love Game of Thrones.
Okay, so you know the Dragon Lady, Amelia Clark,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
the blonde head woman.
Daenerys.
She
Yeah,
had
yeah.
two strokes. She had two brain injuries.
Did she?
I interviewed her mother, and
Oh,
yeah, I interviewed her mother, and I'm part of her organization called the Same You Organization, and they got award by the Prince of England to actually the advocacy. So I'm part of that. Um,
oh,
I have done other organizations such as TAF, the Aneurysm and AVM Foundation. They deal with youth and also people that had aneurysm and AVMs, try to bring them together. I'm also dealing with someone in the East Coast called the Paige Keeley Foundation. Paige Keeley Foundation is built by her mother because Paige died when she was only 5 years old from an AVM. She was in the nurse's office, and by the time her mother got to the hospital, she was dead. So we're trying to find out different ways of how to uh, find out if you have an indicator of an
right.
AVM by the samples of blood tests that people have. Um,
Mm,
and then I also, last but not least, I want to deal with educating our Black men about our health. because a lot of us don't really care to go to the doctor, don't care to get physical checkups. We just will drink, probably smoke, eat bad food, and don't realize what we're doing to our body. Because we would do
Right.
that when we're 19, 20, like, okay, we could live that. But when we get to 40s, like, oh, I can't walk anymore. I can't do this
Right.
anymore. There's a reason why. So those are the things I have want to do. And finally, what I'm doing, I want to show the underbelly of what's happening with our medical society in the United States. Case in point, what I'm working on now, and I don't want to put him on blast now, but I'm going to put him on blast later. I don't know how you feel about if I just put out senators and congressmen's names, but I was dealing with a congressman in Rockland County, and I was telling him about my situation and how many other people have gone through the situation. My situation was this, Sensei Mark. I had a AVM rupture in the state of Kentucky. Right.
Right.
I lived in Georgia, and then I moved to New York.
Right.
My medical records didn't follow me.
Right.
Why is that? We
Correct.
should have a reason that it should records should follow us anywhere. Why doesn't it follow?
It's the
Like if I want to get
privatization
a
of
credit
all the
card,
medical stuff. Yeah.
right? If I want to get a credit card, if I'm in Alaska or if I'm in Florida, they gonna pull up my credit history. Why can't they
Right.
do the same thing with my medical history?
Right.
That's the thing I'm trying to now.
Right. Right.
So these are the issues that
Yeah.
I have. And the other thing is that um, the other underbelly nastiness of this is I had a stroke and I had a disgruntled marriage. My ex-wife was signing paperwork for me, and she wasn't supposed to do that.
Mm,
Or we went through a divorce, and nobody was protecting me. I didn't have the money to pay for divorce. I didn't have a lawyer.
right.
I had to beg people to actually get money to get a lawyer. Nobody was
Right.
protecting people that had brain damage, and that's
Right.
what I have for life: brain damage.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
so that's what I'm dealing with now. I'm trying to be an advocate for that.
Wow. Wow. That's a tall task to have to take. I mean, because yeah, that's a lot. I will say, as a clinical social worker, because I'm a clinical social worker by day. The
Oh, you
medical
are.
records. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do more than just punch and kick. I am a social worker within the state of North Carolina. Yeah, yeah. But I will say one of the biggest things that I've always seen, and I do a lot of stuff with mental health, um, is the medical records and the accessing of medical records in hospitals not speaking to each other. And this is only
Right,
within the state of North Carolina, right? So, not
right,
to mention going from Kentucky to New York, that's a lot. Kentucky to Georgia to New York,
right,
that's a
right,
lot of medical records and medical information, vital medical information that's not being
right,
disseminated. And if you don't have the capacity to be a good reporter, right? Because you have all your faculties. But what if you weren't verbal? What if you couldn't
right,
speak?
right,
What if you can't advocate for yourself? How does that information get transported from one spot to the other so that they know, how to adequately provide you the support that you need?
right.
So yeah, that's a bit, but that's something that's going to take. I don't even know what it's going to take. I'm just thinking about that battle because
And I'm not
so
delusional. I'm not delusional about that. But I know
yeah.
it has to be started. I know it has to be started. And if I'm going to be the guinea pig to start it, I'm fine with that. But it needs to be
Right.
started.
It takes somebody that's going to be passionate and dedicated to facilitate change, and that's exactly what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Every revolution starts with one person, right?
Absolutely.
So you the man that's going to lead that revolution,
Try to.
like
Try to.
like
I'm
your
trying to. My
ancestors,
heart is
right?
on this. Yes, sir. I'm going in, man. Going in.
That's that's it. So
Mhm.
Greg, man,
Yes, sir.
talk to me about like if somebody wants to find more information about AVM, or if they want to get in contact with you, they want to share their story, or they're going through something. What are the avenues or the channels that they can utilize to reach out to you?
Well, there's for me, if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on social media platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, as well as Instagram as IVM Superheroes. as you can see my moniker on the screen right now.
Right.
But I'm this one person. I will answer you if you contact me and say you have a story, you have something going on. I don't mind. I talk with you. But if you want specific things to happen for you, like if you're looking for AVM awareness, you go to TAF.org, TAAF.org. If you want to change things in the New York State, which comes with AVM awareness, go to the Page Keeley Foundation. If you're in Europe and you want to talk about mental health, brain injury, go to sameu.org. That is the Amelia Clark page that I'm talking about there. I'm an advocate there as well. Um, if you want to deal with aphasia is the problem of you cannot speak properly after a stroke. There
Yeah,
is
'cause,
the
Bruce
Aphasia
Willis has that.
Foundation.
Bruce Willis was dealing with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And this one day you have it, you could talk, and next day and I
Right.
want to talk about that as well. When you look at somebody that has aphasia, someone that had a stroke, please, please, I understand that you want to sympathize with them and you're trying to be on their level, but since they're talking like that, do not talk the same way as they are.
Right. Right.
They can still physically and mentally comprehend what you're saying to
Process.
them.
Right.
It's just their speech motor skills are off. That's it.
Right. Right.
Think about us as a person that's in jail and we don't know how to get out. We're in jail inside of our body. That's it.
Right.
That's what you need to take from this interview.
Right. Awesome. 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 And then I guess the other thing is, and I, just thinking about this, if you are experiencing anything, you think that you may have something, like you said, you had this excruciating headache, and it's not
Yeah.
like you've had a million headaches, right? So,
Right. Right.
but when you experienced this, you knew it was something that you had never experienced before. What
Right.
advice would you give to um, any of my listeners that if they're going through something or they're something they've
Okay.
gone through before?
For strokes, there's two different, like I said, there's two different types of strokes. So I would tell you both sides of what you should be looking for. Um, for an ischemic stroke, that is when you have a blood clot or if you have your clogged arteries and things of that nature. Think of B fast or acronym B fast. Okay. B stands for balance. Your balance starts to get off all of a sudden.
Right.
E, your eyes, your vision of your eyes start getting messed up. F, your face starts to droop. A, your arm starts to get weak. S, speech starts to slur. And
Mhm.
T is time to call for 911. That is for the
Mm,
ischemic side. Now, for the brain bleed side, if you have a headache that can knock you out of your sleep, you need to be calling 911. Don't say, okay, I'm going
mm.
to take some Advil or Tylenol. That's going to even make it worse.
Right.
You need to call 911. Because you take a baby aspirin, that open up arteries, that makes more blood come out.
Right.
So
Right.
that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. Right. Right.
Call
Right.
911. Don't be that man like, oh, I can sleep this off. You can't sleep this off. The longer you take, the more deficits you have. The faster,
Right.
that's why it's called be fast. Faster you act on it, the faster you can save your life. Because
So
you're
time
killing
is of
brain
the
cells.
essence.
Time is definitely because you're killing brain cells.
Right. 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 Wow. Wow. Listen, you just don't know how profound just you sharing that information is just for me in general, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about a person that, yeah, I had a heart attack and I recovered, and then I had, the open heart surgery as a result. But a lot of times, even when I was having the heart attack, it was just like, oh yeah, I'll be okay. I had symptoms that was
Right.
manifesting themselves like 2 weeks prior, and my
Right.
wife was like, yeah, you should go to the hospital. You should go to the doctor. No, I'm okay. I'm all right. I was sitting there lifting weights and seeing stars, and it's like, that's not normal. That's not
You
normal.
was
You,
killing
you're sitting
yourself.
there,
You was killing yourself.
I was
You was
going
killing
for a walk
yourself.
and I went for a walk and I felt terrible right afterward, right? Like, this is something that's not in your norm. And the topper for me and I know this about you. I always do this. I'm sorry.
No,
The top
we're going
for
back
me,
and forth. It's cool.
the topper for me was the day that I went into the hospital. It was right before a karate tournament that I had, and I hadn't been feeling well,
Wow.
so wasn't as active as I normally was. I did have a pain in the back of my neck, right? The sharp pain that they speak about, but it didn't connect with me. One of my students said,
Right.
"Hey," and say, "Can you show us how to do this kata?" Because I was talking about intensity. I
Mm.
did the form. A kata is a form. I did the form, and immediately I felt the worst I'd ever felt. Had indigestion that I had never experienced before. And then I was like, yeah, I took a Tums and all this other stuff. Nothing. One of my students was like, "Hey, you want me to take you to the hospital?" I said, "No, go ahead, take my kids home. I'll drive to the hospital." Worst thing I could possibly
Wow.
do, right? Because I could have passed out at
Yeah.
any given point in time. Made it to the hospital.
And kill somebody on
Said,
the
"Yeah,
highway.
absolutely." Said, "Yeah, I got a bad case of indigestion." Yeah, they go in, they do testing, and mind you, like they couldn't find any vital signs of a heart attack for me. Right? It
Right.
just was the platelets were elevated, which is how they found
Right.
out. And
Right.
all the other stuff was how they ended up finding out that I had the genetic stuff. So much like you, the heart attack, which was not a good thing, led to the awareness of the internal genetic malformations that I had,
Hmm.
so that I was able to get that taken care of. But
Hmm.
so much like you said, that heart attack was a blessing because if not, I would have been
Absolutely.
walking around with a ticking time bomb in my chest and never know what would have happened.
Yep.
So
But I'm gonna I'm gonna say one more thing, and you might be mad at me, but your wife is gonna love me for this. Everybody is listening out here. If your significant other tells you you don't look right, listen to
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
Go to the
yeah,
hospital because they know you best. They watch you. They watch everything about you. So that's
yeah,
one of the things I really wanted to drive home to people. I don't care what kind of ego you have. I don't care whatever it is. Your lady, your husband, whoever, they know you best. They watch you. If something
right,
don't look right to them, listen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like you said, I think that be fast will uh, it fits with everything, you know, heart
Mhm.
attack, stroke, the faster you respond, the less likely you are to have longer lasting effects, and
Absolutely.
I mean, I just think about like, okay, the fact that you were able to speak to your mom on that drive, if you weren't able to speak to her, if you were out there by yourself, we might not be having this conversation today,
Well, if I
you
was
know,
talking to one of
you know,
those childhood friends of mine, they'd be like, "Oh, you could rough it out, keep on driving, don't worry about it."
right,
And
right.
that's how we
Oh, you got a
laugh.
little headache. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, you got a
Yeah.
little headache, man. You can drive. You good.
Right, right. So
Exactly.
so thank God for that. But Greg,
Absolutely.
listen, brother, I truly appreciate you speaking with me and enlightening me and enlightening the people that listen. I I found this to be very fruitful for myself, very informative, very enlightening. Like I said, man, you are a motivation to me. I watched everything that you do. I'm a fan. And I'm just so happy that I was able to see you the other day because it's been like 30
About 30
years since
years.
I had seen you.
Yeah.
you
About
know,
30
so
years. You look the
and
same
and
too.
oh, thank you, thank you, thank
No
you.
doubt,
Listen,
brother.
I don't feel the same, but hey. But yeah, man, listen, man. I truly appreciate you using your story and sharing it on my platform and doing all the things that you're doing because you're saving lives. You are impacting other people.
No
You're
problem,
really
Sensei
making
Mar.
a difference. Thank you so
I
much.
really, I
And
really appreciate you recognizing this, sir. I really appreciate you and what
oh
you're doing
man,
with your platform. You're doing a lot of stuff, man. I really appreciate you, brother.
absolutely. We're trying to build it. We're trying to build it. But more importantly, I do want to be able to provide a forum where I'm able to educate people. And that is what we're doing, right? That's what you're doing. So I feel like if we all come together, we can keep people informed, whether it's white, black, whoever, right? Because
All right.
AVM doesn't discriminate.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't discriminate. And I think a lot of people, I had never heard of it prior to you making me aware, or making,
No.
social media aware. So,
Right.
what we think is a regular stroke could be is AVM, or whatever's going on. We don't know. So I thank you for the awareness, and you put a lot of things into perspective. So,
No problem. No problem. Absolutely.
brother,
And
brother,
I also wanted to say, I just want to say one thing before you cut me off,
no,
because I know you got
absolutely,
to go. I know
absolutely.
we got to go,
No,
brother.
no, no, I
Um,
could stay here all day.
but everybody out there that's watching this, if something is happening with you, like Sensei Marv said, I educated him on this information. That wasn't my plan. I just wanted to go and speak about my story. If you have a story, speak about your story, because you could be helping somebody else out as well too. So, like Sensei Marv said, it's not just about us; it's about the whole world coming together in a community, being love, showing love, and giving back to each and other.
Absolutely,
Thank you, my
absolutely.
brother. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So much gratitude I give to you,
Right.
and allow me to be on your show.
Thank you so much, man. I hope you enjoy that sun. I'm gonna have to come out there, come
Yeah,
get some sun.
yeah, yeah.
Some
Absolutely.
sun, and some fresh fruits and vegetables, man. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
look, I wanted to speak about your you were talking about the stuff you were experiencing, and we didn't even get to talk about the physical issues that you were experiencing here in the States, and then you kind of
Yeah,
went over.
yeah.
I completely forgot about that. We're gonna have to do it another time.
It's okay.
We have to do it
It's
another
okay.
time.
We can whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. It's
All right.
AVM Superhero out.